The little blue doll. The afternoon sun filtered through the hospital room's curtains, casting gentle patterns across the polished floor. Sarah Matthews adjusted the pillows behind her young patient and smiled softly. As a pediatric nurse at Children's General Hospital, she had learned to find joy in the smallest moments: a child's laugh, a fever breaking, or simply the peaceful quiet of a room where healing was taking place. Sarah had been working double shifts for weeks now. Her modest apartment was barely furnished, and her refrigerator often held more hope than food. But she loved her job, and more importantly, she loved the children who came through these doors. Each little face reminded her why she had chosen this profession, despite the long hours and the paycheck that barely covered her bills. In the corner of the room, a small girl with golden brown hair lay still in the hospital bed. Emma had been admitted 3 days ago with pneumonia, and while her condition was improving, she remained weak and quiet. Her father visited every evening after work, staying until the nurses gently reminded him that visiting hours were over. During the day, Emma spent most of her time alone, staring at the ceiling or watching the birds outside her window. Sarah noticed how Emma's eyes would light up whenever she entered the room, but the little girl rarely spoke. It was as if she was waiting for something or someone to bring color back into her world. That evening, as Sarah prepared for another long shift, she glanced at the small blue doll sitting on her nightstand at home. The doll had been her only companion during her own childhood in foster care. With its soft mint green body, simple black button eyes, and a small bandage across one arm, it wasn't much to look at. But to Sarah, it represented hope during the darkest times. She picked up the doll and held it close for a moment, remembering all the nights it had comforted her. Then, with a deep breath, she slipped it into her nurse's bag. Some things she thought were meant to be shared. The next morning, Sarah entered Emma's room to find the little girl awake but listless. Her breakfast tray sat untouched, and her eyes held that distant look that worried Sarah most. "Good morning, sweetheart," Sarah said gently, checking Emma's chart. "How are you feeling today?" Emma shrugged slightly, not meeting Sarah's eyes. "Okay, I guess." Sarah sat down in the chair beside the bed, her heart aching for this quiet little girl. She had seen children face illness with remarkable bravery, but Emma seemed to be carrying a weight that went beyond her physical ailment. "You know," Sarah said softly, reaching into her bag, "I have something that might like to keep you company today." Emma's eyes widened slightly as Sarah pulled out the little blue doll. In the hospital room's gentle lighting, it looked even more special, like a tiny guardian angel with its mint green body and caring expression. "This is my very special friend," Sarah continued, placing the doll gently on Emma's bed. "She's been with me for a very long time, and she's helped me through some tough times. I thought maybe she could help you too." Emma's face transformed. For the first time since her admission, a genuine smile crossed her features. She reached out tentatively, then carefully picked up the doll, cradling it as if it were made of the finest porcelain. "She's beautiful," Emma whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "What's her name?" Sarah smiled. "I always called her Hope, but you can call her whatever feels right to you." Emma held the doll close, and for the first time in days, she seemed truly at peace. "Hope," she repeated softly. "I like that name." As the days passed, Emma's recovery accelerated remarkably. She began eating her meals, participating in her physical therapy, and even laughing with the other nurses. The little blue doll was never far from her side, accompanying her to tests and treatments like a faithful companion. Sarah watched this transformation with joy, even as she felt a small pang of loss. The doll had been her anchor for so many years, but seeing Emma's happiness made the sacrifice worthwhile. One evening, as Sarah was completing her rounds, she noticed a tall man in an expensive suit standing in the hallway outside Emma's room. He was speaking quietly with Dr. Peterson, the head of pediatrics, and his posture suggested both authority and deep concern. "That's Emma's father," whispered Janet, another nurse, "Michael Harrison. He owns Harrison Industries, you know, the big tech company downtown. He's been here every night since Emma was admitted." Sarah nodded, recognizing the man she had seen visiting Emma. She'd always assumed he was simply a devoted father, not realizing he was one of the city's most prominent business leaders. The next morning, as Sarah entered Emma's room for what she knew would be one of their last visits together, Emma was scheduled to go home that afternoon. She found both Emma and her father waiting for her. "Nurse Sarah," Emma called out, her voice bright and strong. "Daddy wants to talk to you." Michael Harrison stood up, and Sarah was surprised to see tears in his eyes. "Ms. Matthews," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "Emma has told me about your kindness about the doll." Sarah felt her cheeks warm. "It was nothing, really. I just wanted her to have something to help her feel better." "It was everything," Michael said firmly. "Emma lost her mother 2 years ago, and she's been struggling ever since. The doctors, the therapists, the specialists, none of them could reach her the way you did with one simple act of kindness." Emma held up the blue doll, beaming. "Hope helped me remember that there are people who care, even when everything seems scary and dark." Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "I want to do something for you, Ms. Matthews. I've looked into your situation, and I know you've been working extra shifts to make ends meet. I'm offering you a position as the head pediatric nurse at the new children's wing we're building. The salary is 3 times what you're making now, and you'll have a team of nurses working under you." Sarah's hands trembled as she took the envelope. "Mr. Harrison, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll consider it," he replied. "The world needs more people like you, people who understand that sometimes the smallest gestures can change everything." Emma jumped up from her bed, still clutching the doll, and hugged Sarah tightly. "Please say yes, Nurse Sarah. Then hope can help even more children." Sarah looked down at the little girl in her arms, then at the man whose daughter had taught her that giving from the heart always returns tenfold. Through her tears, she managed to whisper, "Yes, I'd be honored." As Emma and her father prepared to leave the hospital that afternoon, Emma carefully placed the little blue doll in Sarah's hands. "Hope belongs with you," Emma said solemnly. "Help you take care of all the other children who need her." Sarah accepted the doll, understanding that this was how kindness worked. It never truly left you, but rather came back transformed, multiplied, and ready to heal the world one small act at a time. The sun was setting as Sarah walked home that evening, the little blue doll tucked safely in her bag and a new future stretching out before her like a promise kept.